All right, moving on to I think it's an underrated comedy. TomCats starred Jerry O'Connell, Shannon Elizabeth, Jake Busey, Horatio Sands, Jamie Presley. It's a comedy that came out in 2001, and what it is about these group of friends that made this bet, right? And they put money in this account every once in a while, and once every year, about that, and or so, and they keep raising the pot, and it's a contest between each and every single one of them. Each of them, except for one of them, Gary, because he ends up being gay, about getting married, but not getting married. Whoever is the last one standing when everyone else gets married gets all the money. And by this point, now Horatio Sands' character, he's getting married now, because this is at the wedding of one of their friends, and now Horatio Sands is getting married. There's only two left. There's Michael, who is our lead character, played by Jerry O'Connell, and to Jake Busey's character. I forgot his name. Kyle. Who is played by Jake Busey. So, Michael gets himself into some debt. He owes Carlos, played by Bill Maher cameo, a lot of money, $51,000. And there's a lot more than that in the pot. So he decides he's got to get Kyle married. So he talks to Kyle about, like, there's anyone that he actually fell in love with or could see himself settling down with. And so he talks about this girl that was at the first wedding at the beginning of the film. And so he tracks her down and ends up being Shannon Elizabeth's character. What's her name? Natalie. And so then the two of them go in on this, that he's going to get the money. I think he's going to pay her off or whatever, and then she's going to marry Kyle, which I don't know what was really in it for her. And I guess the writers decided there had to be something in it for her to do this. And I guess, otherwise it makes sense for her to do this. They could have said she gets a cut of the money, which I think is what it starts as. So there's a lot of funny moments in this, but there's also a lot of what the fuck moments in this. Like, there's a lot of random scenes. Like, there's a scene with the librarian that ends up being kinky. Why was that in there? And then there's the whole testicle scene. So Kyle finds out he has cancer in the middle of all this. Cancer of the nuts. And has to get one of them pulled off. First of all, so I love this, but they go to Horatio Sands because he's a proctologist. And he even says, I'm a proctologist, not a urologist. And then you have Mike says, Jerry O'Connell. He says, so you'll stick your finger up his ass, but you won't grab his nuts? Fair point. And he acts like it's the most disgusting thing in the world to touch nuts, but you're poking your finger in someone's butthole. I think touching their nuts would be a little bit less than that, right? I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Is it so weird if you're a proctologist and you put your finger in a butt where literal shit is? You know what? I don't know. But then they take it to an actual urologist played by David Augenstein, may he rest in peace, and he says it's like a grapefruit, right? Or at least that's what Horatio Sands says, like a grapefruit. But later, during this whole thing when he's going to get, because Kyle says, I want to keep the nut, even though they won't let him. So Jerry O'Connell goes to get it, or Mike goes to get it, Michael goes to get it, and when he finds it though, it's normal size. Not that. Size there. Not that. Maybe a little bigger, like that, right? Well, how's it a grapefruit? Why is it that size? And what proceeds is the entire scene of he chasing this thing down, and it ends with the urologist, who should know what it looks like because he removed the goddamn thing, eating it, thinking it's a pastry. No like. So what does Michael do? He takes a walnut, puts it in a thing, and pretends it's a nut. And then you see that Kyle's carrying around on a keychain. At this point, he then proposes to Natalie, which she says yes. Now, man, why is Carlos taking his shit? He tells Carlos he's gonna get money. He's just gotta wait. And he keeps taking all his stuff. Even his phone and his furniture. I don't think that's how it works. Is it? No, I don't think that's how it works, but that's what keeps happening. And there's a sequence where he's wearing a fur coat thing and an animal activist thing where he's trying to chase down and stop Natalie from marrying him. And it's clear the writers realized, hey, we need a reason why she's doing it and a reason why she's going to leave him. So they decide that what Kyle did to her all those years ago was bang her, leave her somewhere in a hotel or somewhere, leave her somewhere on the road or something with a roll of quarters. And she has a roll of quarters and she decks him and leaves him. That felt like a last minute ride-in. Like, oh, we need a reason for why she's doing this, not just, oh, for the money. We need a real reason, and we need a reason why she's going to break up with him. We'll just combine those together and make it... Because at the beginning of this film, when Kyle's talking about her, it does not give up that impression that he left her like that at all. It actually gives the impression that he really cares about this girl. They could have done a good love triangle thing with this film. Because, as expected, Michael falls in love with her. They could have had a, like, a love triangle thing, like, type deal, And, Kyle could really, and how would I fix this? Well, had Kyle cared, right? You went through all this. You could have said this. You could have had this get done. So, Michael wins the bet because, Kyle gets married and he gets the money. He pays out this $51,000. But he gives the rest of the money to Kyle and goes off with her. Like, they get married, but he confesses his love. And he says, here's what you do. Right? I'm in love with her. Sorry. But you can't marry her. That sort of thing. And then he can be like, what? He goes, how's this? I'm in love with this woman. I want to marry her. And I'm in love with him too. We can't be together. Like that. And he goes, you know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll get married. All I ask, and you get the money. All I ask is $51,000 to pay up my bets. You can have it over stuff. Because they say there's there is half $500,000 in there. So $51,000, he still gets a big chunk of it. That would be a good way to do it. But they don't. And they gotta have a reason why she's... A little bit of better writing would have helped, I guess. But otherwise, this movie is still pretty good to me. It's one of my favorite comedies. I love Jerry O'Connell. And I've always kind of liked Jake Busey. I think that, a lot of people... His dad overshadows him because of how crazy he is. But Jake Busey is pretty good in this. The Frighteners. He's fantastic, And you have... there's one other thing that kind of... There's a subplot where Horatio Sands' character thinks that his wife, newly, married wife, played by, I had it, Jamie Presley, he's cheating on him with other women. And that really doesn't go anywhere. Well, it does, because, he catches her at the end, right? Then she's like, do you want to join us? And there's like 3 women, and he's like, thank God, and like takes off his clothes and stuff, and it's like, okay, that's fine, but that didn't seem like where it was going. It's like stuff they wrote at the beginning of the film was going one way, but then they decided to cut that halfway through when it was time to write the ending, and it's like, no, let's do this, and this. It really seemed like that Horatio Sands and his wife were heading for divorce, and that Jake Busey really had feelings for her, and they could have done something with that. Maybe my idea wasn't the best, but they could have done something a little bit different. But overall, I still enjoy this film. I'm going to give it a 7. You know what? No, I'll give it a 6. Put it down a little bit. I'll give it a 6. It's still enjoyable. It's one of my favorite comedies. That's for sure. It's going to be in my 25. Probably low on the list, like in the first 5, like 25 to 20 probably in there. But it's still something. You know, I signed up for this. I bought this. You know, I think Jerry O'Connell has a good performance. I think that Jake Busey has a good performance. Horatio Sands, I think, was an underrated member of Saturday Night Live. He got overshadowed by Kenan Thompson and Jimmy Fallon, but I thought he was fantastic. Shannon Elizabeth's always hot. Always fantastic. Yeah, this is a good little comedy. I recommend you check it out. You're not gonna absolutely love it, but you'll find it enjoyable at least. So there you go. 6 out of 10. So what are your thoughts on TomCats? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.